So today we are still going to be talking about radicals, but we're going to be doing radical operations. I guess the good news of today is that today is very simple. Yes, today is probably the easiest day of the entire trimester.
Yeah.
Okay, the bad news about today is that because it is so simple, sometimes my students for real do the assessment portion and they forget and then they miss them when they should not. But it really is simple and we just have a couple things that we need to keep separate. Okay? Can you get it sharpened, Nathan?
Why are you in the corner?
Can you get it sharpened?
Yeah, I'm trying.
I'll help him with
So, when we are talking about operations, we're talking about things like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Okay, so headphones need to be out. Okay, so the first one that we're going to look at operation-wise is adding and subtracting with radicals. Now, we didn't say this at the end of last week, but it is the case that exponents and radicals get paired together.
Over there for 5 minutes.
So all of our properties of exponents are exactly the same as our properties of radicals. So we said if we wanted to add something like 4x squared plus 2x squared, what did we do?
Combine them.
How?
You do 2x squared. Or no, 6x squared.
Okay, so we added the 4 plus 2, which gave us a 6, and we kept the label the same.
Yes.
Okay, that exact same rule is true of square roots and radicals. So if I want to add something like 4 square root 5 plus 2 square root 5, I add the numbers in front. 4 plus 2 is 6, and my label stays the same. Yes. Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
Okay. So we have something like 3 square root 7 minus 5 square root 7. Okay, so we'll subtract the coefficients in front, right? The numbers outside of the square root. What is 3 minus 5?
-2.
-2. And we will keep the label the same. And that's adding and subtracting. I'm not flipping the page yet. So one of the biggest pieces that we actually need to know about adding and subtracting is not actually how we add them, but we need to know when we can't add them. That's going to be the more important piece, believe it or not, as we go forward. Okay, so if we have these pieces, we need to recognize that these aren't all like terms, and so not all of them can be added. But this is a like term with this. Okay, what number is sitting here in front of this square root 2?
-1.
So a 6 square root 2 minus a 1 square root 2 is a 5 square root 2, and we cannot add that with the 5 square root 7 because they do not match. Say it again. Well, this one has a square root of 2, and this one has a square root of 7.
Honestly, I'm really confused. I'm just saying.
Okay, so if I wanted, Chase, let me ask you this.
Oh my god, I can't see anything.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Do not say that name in vain.
me see. Okay. Okay, so Chase, if you saw this, 6x to the third plus 5x squared, could you add those together?
No, because
No, because this has an exponent of 3 and this has an exponent of 2. Right? So they're not like terms. Okay, so if we don't have a matching square root, I can't add those together either because this doesn't match this. Okay, the number inside the square root, the official name is called a radicand, but that number inside of it doesn't match, so I can't add them together. Jackie, put it on my desk.
So if you don't have an exponent, what do you put inside? X?
Don't have an exponent.
Yeah. So if you don't have an exponent.
she said no more fighting.
Like, I kind of want to see Midnight
Try
this
again.
week,
I'm
so-
hearing your words and not understanding what you're asking, so try again. They think
You know how you
different.
put, you have the 5x squared and then you put.
This was just an example from our polynomial unit. These are the types of problems we're looking at now.
Okay.
So maybe, are you asking this?
Yes.
Okay, so these don't have matching labels. This one has a square root of 3, and this one does not.
Is that possible though?
So those can't be added any further. This is as simplified as that answer gets.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I don't get. So that be.
Okay, so this is the statement I was saying, guys, that you're right now probably making it more difficult than you need to. But go ahead, ask.
It's difficult. On the inside of the, would that make it 5 and then the 6 and 5 would make it 11? 5 or not?
Are you trying to add those two?
No, you cannot add these. These can't be added. This is the answer. 6 square root 3 plus 5 square root 2. You cannot add them.
Why would that be?
Because they don't have matching square roots. They don't have matching numbers in here.
Oh.
Okay, so if I have 6 apples and 5 bananas, I don't say I have 11
Oranges.
banapples,
Banapples.
right? I can't put those together in one label because they're different
Really?
things.
But what if it's what if the front number is different? What if that was 6-3 and then 5-3? Would that be
Right, yes. So if I have 6
Apples.
square root 3 plus 5 square root 3, right? I have 6 apples and 5 apples.
So the outside.
Then I have 11 apples.
Oh, so the outside number doesn't matter.
Right, it's just that label that matters. Okay, so that inside number has to be the same. If the inside number is the same, that number inside underneath the square root, then it's okay. Okay. Are we okay on that? Now, realistically, that's what we need to know. That's it. That's what we need to know with adding and subtracting. Okay, however, I do want to show you one more small piece. Stop all of that stuff. We have all this stuff written down. You missed it right there, but keep going. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Stuff's too complicated.
These currently do not match. Okay.
Currently.
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 Because the only way that we should be adding to start with is if they are in simplified form. Just like we said we would never write a fraction of 4/8, we would turn it into 1/2.
So,
The same thing is true for our square roots. Yes, Dylan?
So then we would have to do the whole thing we were just doing with the 8.
So we would take this and we would prime factor it.
I'm so
But I thought
smart.
you just said that they don't match, so you just write
They
them.
don't match, but this isn't simplified to start with. This isn't even a number we should be working with, right?
So they don't have front. You have to simplify it first.
Right, so if they're not simplified, we want to simplify them first. Now, if I'm talking about what you need to know, this is not a need to know. This is sort of like, it would be really great if you could do it, but it's not our need to know. We have to be able to simplify. We have to be able to know when we can add and subtract. Yes, Chase?
So if we don't need to know it, why do we have to learn?
Good question, Chase.
So it's 7-2.
And I have an answer for you. Hang on 1 second.
You said the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay? So remember, I always sort of have those non-negotiables for you. The things that I'm saying I absolutely won't let you walk out my door without knowing. It is not technically, okay, an algebra standard that you can simplify this all the way. However, you will be doing this a bajillion times over in future math classes. Okay? Yes, Dylan?
If I'm going to Walmart to buy some ramen, when am I ever going to use this?
You're not.
Exactly. So
What are you going to do with the rest of your life?
Me?
Buy wrong
Yeah.
thing.
I'm actually going to the Air Force.
Okay, so you're not going to do anything after the Air Force? What if you're injured?
Then I just am going to sit at home
They
and be
give you
crippled.
money.
Okay, but here is the thing. Believe it or not, at your age, you do not know everything that you're going to do for the rest of your life.
I'm going to.
So here's the statement that I say. When you learn to read the word cat, right? You learn that C went k, and A went ah, and T went t, and you went k, at, cat.
I said meow.
But you don't do that anymore.
I don't go.
Do you guys learn that every day? Do you use that every day to read? Did you learn that?
Wait, what? For
I'm
what?
not
Do you
gonna-
do that every day still when you read?
I'm
So
not-
then why did you learn it?
But I'm not gonna sit here and move the joysticks on a plane.
Because
like-
that's
to learn how to talk.
Absolutely yes, you actually are, because this is engineering and this is anything with a curve and this is anything with an arch, and absolutely.
So my
Okay,
joysticks
so
would be
so
affected by this.
listen, a friend from church sat in a hole and used the quadratic formula, which involves square roots, and used it to decide what angle to shoot a missile off at.
Oh,
Yep, pretty important.
shoot. God dang it, I'm gonna still have to learn this stuff.